and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Leonie and I'm a travel and lifestyle blogger. So this video is going to be completely different from what I've done on my YouTube before. So basically I used to do a lot of travel vlogs and travel videos, but I'm deciding to take my blogging and YouTube into a different direction and go into more lifestyle and more personal life things really that I want to talk about really and share with you guys. So this video is going to be my first life of low kind of talk video. I've not really done one of these before, so do bear with me. I do apologise if the quality of filming or sound is not great. It's not a kind of filming situation I've really done before. So this video is going to be all about my IBS story. So I suffer from IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome as it's called. It's quite an umbrella term for quite a lot of symptoms. My symptoms normally are my stomach pains and stomach cramps, diarrhea, sometimes nausea and vomiting, bloating, and sometimes I get like sweats as well with it. I was 21 or about 2021 when I first got diagnosed. I had been having these symptoms for quite a while, so I went to the doctors and I think they did the usual ruling out, you haven't got a stomach bug, and it came back that I didn't, so they put it down to IBS and I had to give a food diary. So I did that for a while, but things weren't really clear of what was triggering me off. I could have something one day and be fine, and the next day it would make me really ill. So I wasn't really getting anywhere with my food diary. So I went back to the doctors. First of all, he prescribed me Colofac, which I think is quite a common medicine for IBS, but it didn't really do anything for me. And then, strangely enough, he described me antidepressants because IBS is strongly set off by stress and anxiety. So I got given some of those, which I wasn't very happy about taking, I must say. But I did anyway, and I kind of wish I didn't because I did funny things to me, but that's a whole other story. So I went off them because they weren't really doing anything to help. And so for the next couple of years I was suffering on a daily basis from my IBS. I was really struggling with it until I was about 23, and I was very, very ill, and I was in and out of hospital for about 6 months. Turns out I had gallstones, so another digestive thing there, and I had to have that removed. After that, my IBS just went back to what I would call normal. You know, it wasn't a major flare-up, it was just what I learned to cope with, until a year or so after that. I got really, really ill. I had a major flare-up. I dropped about 2 stone very, very quickly, and I was like at the weight I was when I was a teenager, which was, you know, I was dropping weight really, really bad because I couldn't eat. I was throwing up all the time. I couldn't even brush my teeth in the mornings without being sick, and I was just in pain. My stomach, I felt like someone had kicked me a million times in the stomach. I was just in pain. I was so ill. And the doctor thought I might have had diverticulitis, which is the lining of your colon, your bowel, it becomes loose and you get like these pockets, and when food travels down they get stuck and it causes inflation and infections. So I got put on some very aggressive antibiotics. I think they had steroids in them as well, and that was, the medicine was horrible. That made me so sick as well, but they did warn me that that was going to be quite bad. I never got properly tested for diverticulitis. It was kind of a ruling out process. So they gave me something in case I had an infection because of food. So I had that, went back to my normal IBS, and then last year I became quite ill again, to the point where it was basically anything that came out of me was just water. I mean, too much information, I know. This is going to be a very TMI video. And also blood as well. So that was a massive warning sign for me, for anyone really. So I went to the doctors, I got a colonoscopy done, which I'm going to talk about in a later video. And they checked me for any inflammatory bowel disease, like Crohn's, colitis. They did a biopsy to make sure I didn't have microcolitis. All my tests came back fine. They couldn't really see the sources of bleeding. One thing with IBS and digestive orders is you can get fissures, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce them, which are tears, and so you can see some bleeding. But any bleeding, just go to your doctor. Like, don't even wait about. It's not a joke. It's very, very serious. It can lead to some very serious problems. So just go. Even if you think, just go. Don't risk it. So that leads me on to, everybody can have different symptoms of IBS. You could suffer from them all, just one or two. So there's a very, umbrellaed ratio of things you could have. But they're also quite similar to the more serious diseases like Crohn's or colitis. So don't always just brush your symptoms under the IBS carpet. If you're unsure or you're worried, go to your doctors. Make sure you get tested for these more serious diseases, because they can lead to some very long-term damage. So don't risk it. Go, always just go to a doctor. Go to a doctor if you think you've got IBS and never been to your doctor before, because they can give you support, information, medication. You can go through plans. So just, always seek medical advice. Obviously, disclaimer, this is just my personal experience, my personal advice. So always seek medical advice. That's my advice to you. So the biggest battle with my IBS was probably the anxiety and the embarrassment around it. Obviously, I was 21 when I first got it, and I was just so embarrassed to talk about it, embarrassed of the situation I would get in if I needed to go to the toilet, I was sick, or I couldn't eat anything, or was so bloated. And it made me a prisoner of the disease. I was a prisoner of IBS, and half the battle for me was making myself free from this disease. I now look at it as it's part of me, it's part of who I am, and it's just something, it's my everyday life. Like, I have to wear contact lenses because I can't see. Just, at first I was like, oh, why have I lost my eyesight? I was really upset, but now I'm like, meh. And that's what you've got to be. You've got to be very about it, because the more you get stressed about it, physically, stress and anxiety triggers off IBS. Second of all, it's just going to make dealing with it so much harder. But if you take the attitude of, well, I think to myself, I've lived with it long enough, I've been in hospital enough, I've had procedures, tests, operations done, I've had so much pain, I don't care anymore. I don't care what people think. If people make some funny remarks, it's, especially in this day and age, I just think, well, I feel sorry for you, really, and it's that I'm not going to let it bother me, because I've got enough I've got enough to bother me at the moment. So once you turn your mindset round to thinking it is just part of who you are, and part of what you've got to do with life, and you don't get so stressed out about it, it makes it a lot easier to deal with. I mean, it never goes away. I don't think I've really had a day where I haven't had a kind of symptom. but I'm finding it a lot more manageable now. So the foods that really trigger me off are things like dairy. I mean, I'm a cheese lover, so I do eat that at my own risk. I don't have milk. If I have too much dairy, I always get these like little spots as well on my skin. I don't know if anyone else gets them. They're like, I think they're called like chicken spot. I don't know, like little bumps on my skin if I have too much dairy. Things like onion, tomatoes, garlic are very, very good for me. Spicy foods as well. I actually did some nutrition testing, which came back with quite a few intolerances I have, but it's a long list, and that is something I want to talk about later, because I just want to go through how what I had done with my nutrition testing. But I know that if I eat these things, I'm going to get some kind of repercussion from it. I would say that I know my IBS quite well now. We've lived together for quite a long time, so I know things I can risk and things I can't. I know that if I'm at home, I tend to indulge more because I know I'm in a more secure environment in case I do get ill or need to go to the toilet. Ooh. Obviously, going out to eat is a different situation. It can be very tricky at times and a bit nerve-wracking. I know in the beginning that I used to panic a lot about eating out because I didn't know what was triggering me off, and then I remember this time where I had beef stew at a pub, and literally within seconds I had to have my friend race me home in a car because I just came over so ill. And it's just a bit of a nightmare sometimes. My trick is, if I know I'm going out somewhere and there may be a possibility that I can't control what I'm eating, or I may not be able to get to loo or get home easily, then I take Imodium before I go. Obviously I have IBSD, so that is my main issue, and it helps prevent anything occurring. If you have IBSD, then you may know what I'm talking about, but when I am out and I may eat something I can't, I feel like my stomach flips, and it's just out of the blue, instantaneously. It's like my stomach just drops, and that's it. The sweats come on, the sickness, the nausea, having to go to the toilet, it just is instant. So I would say that taking Imodium isn't good, and don't do it all the time, but if there's a situation like a wedding or something, always just, and you've got IBSD, maybe just take that before. But obviously don't take any medication without seeking medical advice first. This is just what I do. So that is my broad IBS story. So I hope some of you out there enjoyed this video or took something away from it, even if it's just that there's someone else out there that understands what you're going through. And I would love for you to give this a thumbs up if you like this video, and to subscribe to my YouTube channel, because there'll be quite a few more videos around IBS and my journey and my stories coming. So if you found this interesting, you may find those interesting, and thank you for watching.